Here.
Member Trushansky.
Here.
Member Beck.
Here.
Baranski. Member Colfer.
Here.
Vice Chair Yablon.
Here.
And Chair Bay.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to mention the fact that Councilman Tony Bloomberg is our substitute liaison for the City Council this evening, and we have a new student representative who is Evan Hecht, if I remember correctly, since you just introduced yourself a few minutes ago. So welcome, Evan. His first meeting. All right. So having said that, we'll move on to business. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the January 18th meeting? And I for the record, Patrick, it says January 18th, 2023 on the agenda, but it should be 2024, obviously.
Yes. I think in the minutes it does say 2024, so okay. That's good.
Good. If everyone's had a chance to review them, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the January 18th, 2024 Zoning Board of Appeals as drafted.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
A motion by Member Colfer to approve the minutes of January 18th, 2024, seconded by Member Trushansky. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The minutes are adopted. Okay.
Sorry. And Member Yablon stipulates that she watched the video.
Thank you. All right. Okay, moving on, item number 3, business from the public. Is there anybody here, doesn't seem like it, that has something that's not on the agenda? Seeing nobody stepping forward, we will move on to old business. Item number 4, old business, VAR-2023-00014, property address 2691 Oak Street, and the appellant is Noel Vaughn. Do we have a presentation, or do you want to bring us up to speed, Patrick?
Yes. So yes, like you said, this is old business. This was continued from the previous meeting for 2691 Oak Street. The applicant is Noel Vaughn. The proposal is to keep an existing structure that is located on the property. The requested relief is to encroach into the required front yard setback of 40 feet by 0.05 feet. To encroach into the required side yard setback of 11.16 feet by 9.03 feet, and then to have that structure encroach further into the front yard setback than the principal structure. This is just a refresher. The yellow is the existing greenhouse, and showing the encroachments. The structure is also 72 square feet. Again, refresher of just what the greenhouse looks like. And then lastly, the approval order. So board directed me to add a kind of sunset clause to the approval order that the existing greenhouse as approved by this order cannot be substantially altered, modified, increased, enlarged, or replaced if removed. Again, city staff did not have any comments on this. We got 3 comments from the public in support of this project, and we haven't received any new submissions since the previous meeting. Again, this was the request for relief, and if you had any other additional questions, I'm here, and the applicant is also here.
And just to make sure it's clear, there's, other than the change to the approval order that we requested, there's no additional information in the packet, or nothing else has been submitted by anyone, the applicant or anybody else?
No, the only change was the addition of that clause to the approval order.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak on behalf of the variation, the applicant. Nothing to add, okay. That could be a first, where we have no one speaking.
Spoke last time.
I remember. All right. Okay. Well, we'll go with where things stand, and we'll kind of poll the commissioners and see the members of the board and see where we're at. We can start with Member Beck.
Well, she said it so well. I have nothing to add.
Okay, this is going to go. We'll skip down to member Chase.
I have nothing to add other than what I said at the last meeting, which is in the.
If I could request at this point that the members, we'll backtrack to Member Beck, to give the applicant some indication as to whether or not you are in favor of the variance or not.
I have nothing to add except that I'm in favor of the applicant's petition.
Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Member Trzaski.
I'm in favor.
Member Cullither.
I want to thank the applicant for being amenable to the sunset clause. I think that's it is always unusual when the building is already in place and we're doing something to ensure that you can keep it. So I just want to thank you for being amenable to that. And I am in favor, Chair.
Vice Chair Beck, or Beck, I'm sorry. Chair, yeah, well, I just promoted you.
She always gets that. I mean, I did the Yablonsky.
It's all good.
I don't even know where that came from.
Just because I wasn't here at the last meeting, I do believe all the standards have been met, and I would be in favor of approving the order as drafted.
Okay, I'll agree with my colleagues. I will say that for the record, to address some of the standards, I think one of the things that was a concern as to whether or not there's a hardship as a result of this condition. I would take the position that it would be a hardship to force you to remove it. So I would think that would satisfy that standard. I think the other standards are a little bit easier to say that they've been met. But having said that, I will also say that I believe the standards have been met, and I would vote to approve the variation as well. So does anybody have a motion?
Member Yablon makes a motion to approve the order as drafted.
I have a second.
Second.
So that's a motion by Vice Chair Yablon
I demoted myself.
to approve the variation, granting of the variation order as written, seconded by Member Cullither. Patrick, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Member Chase,
Aye.
Member Trzaski,
Aye.
Member Beck,
Aye.
Member Cullither,
Aye.
Vice Chair Yablon,
Aye.
and Chair Bay.
Aye. Congratulations. Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Here. Right, moving on. That was our only order of old business. There seems to be no new business. That leads us to staff report. Get to that in just a moment.
Evan, isn't this exciting?
Very. It's a lot of people.
Very comfortable chairs. Well, they're doing that. I'm just going to thank City Council for investing in new chairs in the City Council chamber.
And new microphones.
Okay, well, new microphones, but the chairs for the public,
And also
anyone who's watching.
Dual charging stations. You've got your
Okay.
own outlets there.
Very impressive. I'm glad to know our tax dollars are being used.
And my nameplate.
That's going to get upgraded.
Professionally done name. That's all right. Patrick, you probably didn't hear.
Is the capacity the same? That's what I was wondering.
Hopefully not, but I think that it is.
I inquired as to whether or not there was a staff report.
No, there is no staff
There's
report.
no staff report. Okay, now the much awaited miscellaneous, where I know that Vice Chair Yablon has, in fact, something in the miscellaneous column.
So I attended the Saturday meeting at City Hall for the chairs, vice chairs of the different groups. And the one takeaway that I have that really applies to us is that when we are swearing people in, we are no longer supposed to ask for their address. That they're afraid of people getting robbed, like as they're at the meeting.
Can we ask for their approximate geographical
You can ask if
location?
they're residents of Highland Park or, generally where they're from.
That would not apply to the applicant because that's obviously public because it's in the agenda.
Well, unless they don't live there.
Right.
Well,
So,
can I ask the question, is their residence relevant at all? They have a right to come and testify on any matter regardless of where they live?
I don't think it's.
I I'll
I don't know that
interject
it's
that.
relevant.
I can answer that.
Irrelevant, but-
I can answer that.
Yeah.
They have a right to speak on relevant matters regardless of where they live, but we also have a right to know generally where they're from, whether they're a resident of Highland Park or not.
Or if they're in any
So
way
when the
affected
Village
by
of
the proposed
Northport
variance.
has hearings on the redevelopment of a mall and putting in a 12-story tower, all of Highland Park can show up.
Okay.
We heard it from him.
But I would say, though, that what will be important for us, though, because sometimes neighbors come in who are neighbors who live miles away from,
Yeah, I think we can inquire as to what their proximity is in relation to the variation that's being requested. I think that's reasonable. So
yes.
I think they usually volunteer that anyway. They usually say, so-and-so, I live across the street, I live next door.
But
Shouldn't
sometimes-
be an issue, but we'll take that.
Patrick, on a similar note, I know that when neighbors send in letters, you have historically blacked out email addresses and phone numbers, I believe. Does that mean you'll be doing that with the street address now as well?
I'll have to ask Joel on that.
Yeah,
because
that's why I figured you'd have to ask a higher up, but you just may want to.
Yeah, because well, one thing about the address is that it's helpful for me because I have to mail people who speak at these meetings, and if they don't provide an address, they only provide a name, it might be very difficult for me.
But you'd have the
mail.
original, but on the copy you included. in
Oh,
the
I know.
packet-
I'm just speaking if
but on the
people
copy
speak in
you include In the
general.
packet, you would black
Yeah.
it out.
I could.
You just may want to ask if you have to.
Yeah. I mean, if it's the concern is theft, I mean, they could theoretically just be home. They wouldn't be at the meeting then. So it could be relevant information to know that it is a adjacent neighbor, like where they actually are located within the variance request. So yeah, I haven't heard about this, so I didn't know.
Is there any known event that gave rise to this concern all of a sudden?
Not that I was.
I'm sorry.
I said, is there any known event that gave rise to this concern all of a sudden? I find it really kind of far-fetched to think that they'd be concerned about saving their address.
It came to our attention last year. There was some concern about having to give a full address, particularly at city council meetings. There isn't a requirement that be done, but both the council and the commissions have a reasonable right to understand whether people are resident of Highland Park or not.
I can live.
Not a substitute for voting. We just vote for elected officials, but it does have some impact on the level of interest that somebody may have in whatever is before you.
Thank you. Thank you for the most miscellaneous report. Anything else under miscellaneous?
Sorry, not done yet. Can Patrick have a sign-in sheet?
Yeah, if that might be the way that we just go from now on. So that way I have their information, but it's not like publicly available. Yeah, again, I'll speak.
I agree with Member Cullither. I think you probably should ask Joel and find out
That's
what the
what-
procedure, so we can make it official. That's the procedure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's consistency across.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because
the
this will
board.
affect
In
all
fact,
the other-
I can get an answer to you for that question, even though I won't be here. I can get an answer for you basically from Corporation Counsel.
Okay, great. Thank you. Done with the miscellaneous now.
I'm done with miscellaneous.
All right. Well, that leaves item number 8, adjournment. Can I have a motion?
I'll motion that we adjourn.
Vice Chair Yablon, seconds.
Motion by Member Cullither to adjourn, seconded by Member Yablon. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we are adjourned at 7:45.
Always wanted to vote against that.